Attorneys trying to keep convicted killer Eric Williams off death row rested their case a short time ago in the Kaufman County DA murders trial after the mother of convicted killer Eric Williams described her son as a, quote, good kid. Jessie Williams appeared in a recorded interview because the defense says she is too ill to testify in person. The 90-minute deposition covered his childhood and his upbringing. The defense also presented several witnesses who were old high school or family friends. The judge clearly was impatient with what he called repetitious accounts from Williams' childhood decades ago. One witness was former Kaufman County District Attorney Rick Harrison, who ran against Mike McClellan twice and lost the second time. The defense tried to ask Harrison questions about the character of his murdered successor.
McClellan did not like me during the elections or after.
Did that extend to the people who were your friends?
I'm going to object to that. He's asked to speculate what a dead man thinks about other people. Sustained.
Eric Williams is charged with killing Mike McClellan and prosecutor Mark Hassey. He's been convicted for the murder of McClellan's wife, Cynthia, and could receive a death sentence for that crime. All right, joining us now is Brandon Birmingham. He is about to take office as a judge in the criminal district court. I guess, have you stepped down as a felony prosecutor?
Almost.
Almost, all right. Yeah. Still in the chief felony prosecutor's office of the Dallas County Attorney's Office, but about to become a judge in Dallas County. All right, the defense unsuccessfully but repeatedly tried to get into Mike McClellan's character, I guess saying whether or not he was a bully, if he's a political bully, if that's the defense's argument. He's a guy who didn't like Eric Williams and prosecuted him for a petty, trumped-up theft case. Why not allow that into this trial, this sentencing phase?
Well, the judge did eventually let some of that stuff into evidence, talking about how that case, as some of the witnesses described it, was a political witch hunt, that it was overzealous prosecution on the part of Hassey and also of McClellan. They were allowed to get into that just a little bit, and they were doing that so that they could try to explain why it is that Eric Williams, who, as the witnesses have described from all the way back in junior high and high school until today, was a pretty good guy. He was a lawyer, a police officer, a good friend, a courthouse worker. He was all of those things to try to give him to give that crime a little bit of context.
Are they saying that McClellan and Hassey deserved it, or just that the victims pushed him to do it, and is that a reason to let a guy off and not give him the death penalty?
Well, I think that the defense is walking a pretty fine line here. On the one hand, as one witness described today in response to one of the defense's question, everybody has their breaking point. And I believe what she was meaning was that he was pushed so far, he lost his bar card, he lost his job, he lost his livelihood, and that was a breaking point. Now, Prosecutor Bill Worski asked a very pointed question, well, does that breaking point mean that you're going to murder 3 people? And of course, her answer had to have been no. But I think that sort of gives you context for this entire trial, what this case is really all about.
All right. If it were, if he were on trial for McClellan's murder or Hassey's murder, this stuff, if it's more of that let in.
Perhaps, but remember why what the state is obviously going to argue during the closing arguments, which we'll probably see tomorrow, and that is Cynthia McClellan did not deserve, under any theory that there was, to have done what was done to her.
Whatever problem he had, whatever grudge or revenge he wanted, shouldn't have included her, and she's the victim for which he's on trial.
That's exactly right, and there's some other ironies in this trial. I mean, Eric Williams was sworn to uphold the law as a police officer. He was a member of the bar, and yet he didn't resort to the courts in order to air his grievances. He took matters into his own hands.
You said, and we've heard today, that the judge kind of didn't want to hear a lot of this stuff when he was a math team member at 17, didn't think it was interesting. How about Kim Williams? She's expected to testify tomorrow for the state. She is essentially a co-defendant, charged with the murder as well. Does the jury want to hear that either? You know, she's expecting maybe some leniency. Is she biased? And I mean, how much weight does the jury put into this kind of thing?
It really depends on what she's going to say, number one, how truthful and believable she is. But I can also tell you that watching some of the questions today, that seems like the state was setting some traps, maybe that she can help the state with tomorrow.
Fill in some holes.
Fill in some holes, yes, exactly right.
All right, Brandon, we got to go. Thanks for coming in. But we should remember, it only takes one juror to vote not to give the death penalty, and he doesn't get it.
And he doesn't get it, but he'll get a life without parole sentence if that happens.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Brandon.